Vincent Needham. I was born in Tonganoxie. Today's date is May the 6th, 2006.
Fantastic. When did your family first arrive in the Tonganoxie area?
They came to the area in 1868, 1869. Nobody has definitely put that down. We do know 1869.
Okay. Can you tell me what the relationship was to you when those ancestors came? Was that your grandparents?
My great-grandparents and my grandparent, parents at that time, and then my Uncle George and Aunt Carrie, all of them came at the same time. My grandfather and grandmother, their family started out in Stranger Township. Grandpa was in the Civil War, and we have his diary here at the museum. He also got a parcel of land for his action in the Civil War, and they were out here on north of Tongi and on Stranger Creek.
What was your maiden name?
Frances Louise Pearson.
Okay. And when were you born?
September the 4th, 1914.
Okay. And when did your family's ancestors first arrive in Tonganoxie?
1867.
Okay. And who would that have been?
That would have been my father's folks. The great-grandfather and grandmother was Peter and Eunice Pearson.
Okay.
1797.
Tell me about the top picture.
This is my grandpa and grandma Pearson. I didn't know her because she died at an early age. My grandfather, I always worshipped him. He was a very studious man and liked progress, and after he was old, he traveled all over the United States. He was a Quaker and really lived his religion. It was he who had started to bring in the Quaker religion to Tonganoxie. They were married in 1870 at the old Quaker mission. And I often wondered why there were two houses and why I was born in the little house. And then I found out later in the farm abstract that they came to Kansas from Oskaloosa, Iowa, and in 1867, and he bought land, it says, from the Union Pacific and the Indians. That's the way it was worded, that I, copied it somewhere else. This was the first, high school, because there was no high school. Quakers built this, called the Friends Academy. They really didn't have a lot of people going to it, and it was also open to others. The marriage license of my mother and dad, Paris R. Pearson, Fanny T. Klein. They were married in Leavenworth County at the courthouse, and in the 17th of May in 1905. I was so tickled to get this. I did not know that my mother had it for years, and when they passed away, I got the old pictures, and in that there was this marriage certificate that was in pieces, and it meant so much to me that I pieced it together. This quilt was made by my father as a little boy 140 years ago. His mother died at an early age, and his great-grandmother came in to take care of some of the children. And I always thought, why did a boy make a quilt? And then I thought, well, maybe he made it because Grandma was wanting to keep him quiet. A picture of the Stanton Pearson family later in life.
Now, we're going to have the fun part of the interview is talking more about your memories as a child. So if you just want to pick up your earliest memories as a child in Tonganoxie, and we'll just start to tell that story.
Of course, my brother and I both went to Honey Valley School, and I will remember many pleasant memories of that. We would cut across our farm and the neighbor's farm, and one time the highway wasn't there yet, but they were putting telephone poles up, and the hole was big and the snow covered it, and how I fell into that hole. And he sat there and he laughed at me. This is the Honey Valley School building that was built in 1916, and it shows here in 1923. This is a picture of my brother in probably about 1916. Also in this group is three of my...
Gallagher.
And your maiden name?
And my maiden name was Jeffries.
Okay.
Margaret Jeffries.
Fantastic. And can you tell me a little bit about the Jeffries family?
Well, yes, my grandfather, my dad's father, Joseph G. Jeffries was his name. Yes, that's my grandpa Jeffries, my dad's father. A war veteran. I have his discharge papers from the Civil War. And he's buried at Mount Calvary Cemetery in Leavenworth. And he was a guard at the state prison when he died, but he died from injuries caused by the war. So he left his wife and quite a few children, several. And three of them, and my dad was 4 years old. They were just real small. So my grandmother got a pension and she was able to keep a home for them. But the man that came back to represent his section of the army, came back again to visit my little Irish grandmother. My grandmother came from Ireland when she was 16, and that's when that was taken, supposedly. And that's my dad, Robert Benjamin Jeffries. He was born August 24th, 1885. Yes, this is Edminster School, out on Old 40 Highway, about 3 miles. And the teacher in the middle of the back row there was Mary Lloyd. And she married Charles. Yes, now this is Hazel Ridge School again, but this is a Sunday school class that they used to have. And this is my husband, Harry. And this was a little house that we lived in at Fairmount. And that's where I was born. And this is my sister Edith. And she was 6 years old, 6.5 years old, and I was 6 months old. And it was taken in Leavenworth. My mother always went to this same place to get a picture. Yeah, now this is Friendship Valley School, and this would have been in 1926. And this is Helen Freeman, the teacher. And she later married Overgaard. And this is me. That's Dolly Freeman, that's her sister. And that was Helen Freeman was a teacher out there, and she was really nice. I thought so much of her. But then when I was 2 weeks into the 8th grade, we moved into town. And my dad worked at different things. He had a milk route to the, the story was in the Mirror about that. Well, he had a milk route.
About this commencement address?
Yes, this is when my sister graduated from grade school in 1920. And I see she gave the class prophecy. I really don't remember, but I'm sure I was there. Yes, Yes, this is Hazel Ridge School out northwest of town. And this is the entire school, and the teacher back here, must be this one back here. And her name was Tina Zimmerman. Now, I don't know her, but Harry said that. And this is my husband, Harry. Yes, this is the old livery barn that belonged to Mr. Hamilton. And the house that you see there is the house we're in right now doing the video. And the horses and buggies were the ones he rented out to people, and we redid the house.
Well, the Mitchells came here, and it must have been maybe during the Civil War, because they settled along the railroad over there, which was railroad land, and they bought that, you know. And then later they put in the Smith School was settled there, and
the Mitchells donated the ground.
Yeah, the Mitchells donated the ground for the school back in. I believe the earliest they have on this for the school was they give a deed to it in 1868 because they lost the deed. The original deed was lost. Family house that's been in the family since, well, my folks bought it about 1880, I think, and it built in 78 by the name of Gresham. Yes, this is the old house, and my son moved it down the road a mile, and it's 100 years old. Oh yeah, they farmed the horses.
Okay. And do you remember how many acres they had that they started with?
Well, it was 400 acres here,
Okay.
and there's about 160 of it was tilled ground. The rest of it was pasture. And my granddad worked in town a lot. He was a banker, and until they had the banker holiday and they closed it down.
Picture of your grandfather in the bank. And which
Yes.
one is he?
He's a man with a hat on in front there.